Hi, and welcome to our webinar. Today we'll be focusing on email security. As I'm sure you're aware by now, cyber threats of all kinds are threatening individuals and businesses worldwide. No one is exempt from a wide range of hacking methods, from personal identity theft to millions of stolen credit cards from major retailers. It is common, however, that the majority of successful hacking attempts come from hackers preying on our sensibilities rather than using elaborate hacking techniques that make for a great movie script. Those threats are real. However, we're going to focus on what you can do to protect yourself. So, in order for you to protect yourself, you need to understand what you're protecting yourself from. The majority of the threats that you receive personally are in the form of phishing attempts. Uh, and this is with a PH, not an F, but it's basically exactly that, phishing. Hackers are phishing for information from you or from your company that they can glean from you that will either uh, affect them monetarily or to steal proprietary data or information that they can use and exploit. So we need to define what a phishing attempt is and how it and the types of and forms that it comes. So phishing, typically you will see it come in a form of an email message to your inbox. Some of them are embedded in websites. So if you click on a banner ad or an advertisement online, you might it be subject to a phishing attempt. Phone calls. You might have received a phone call out of the blue from an anonymous caller telling you that your computer is infected and they're there to rescue you and they need in your computer in order to uh, alleviate whatever threat that they claim to see on your computer. Those are phishing attempts. And they're all designed to steal money or information. Uh, Basically, what happens is once you invite the person in by clicking on a link, mostly, or actually physically allowing them on your computer, criminals can install malicious software on your computer and then go on to steal your information. This can reside on your computer without you knowing. You may not even know it. Other times, in the form of ransomware, you will get this really scary error message up on your screen that tells you that your files have been encrypted and you must pay someone in order to get them decrypted. So it comes in many forms, but primarily these are the way that they get to you. So they're using social engineering, meaning they're preying on your sensibilities. They're taking things that you see every day, a shipment notification, an invoice, um, a file attachment with some benign looking message that says, "Hey, this looks really interesting. I thought you might want to take a look at it." So they're looking at social engineering and how to best fool someone into clicking on a link, essentially, or downloading a file. So here we have a phishing attempt example. This one involves Facebook, which is common. You will see a lot of phishing attempts that come from commonly known organizations that you may even be a part of. Lots of people have Facebook accounts, so they will prey on people using Facebook because they feel they can get the largest impact. Um, this is this particular example is asking you to agree to copyright uh, information provided by Facebook. But if you look at it closely, you will find commonly a lot of bad grammar, misspelled words, there will always be a link to something or a file attachment. So anytime you get an email that has any embedded link in the email or a file attachment that you weren't expecting, consider it suspect. One of the best ways to determine whether this is a phishing attempt is to look closely at the link that's embedded in the email. By no means should you ever click on it before you've done a thorough investigation of what you're looking at. All you need to do is take your mouse and hover over the top of the link. If you look at the example at the bottom right hand corner, this is what it will look like if you were to just move your mouse over on top of the link without clicking on it. It will have a pop-up that shows you the actual link that you would be going to if you were to click on it. So in this case, this link is going to www.woodgrovebank.com. However, if you put your mouse on top of it, hover over the top, you will see that the actual link goes to something completely different. It goes to an IP address. So a lot of times you might get an email from Facebook, but if you go to the link that's embedded in the email and hover over the link will many times have nothing to do whatsoever with Facebook. It will take you off into some obscure web link that has nothing to do with Facebook at all. So what do we need to look out for? As I mentioned in the last slide, spelling and bad grammar are commonplace in phishing attempts. And this is because a lot of phishing emails originate from overseas where English is not the primary language. So you will find a lot of grammar, incomplete sentences, misspelled words. A lot of times the sentences will make no sense whatsoever, or they're very short and to the point. So that is one thing to be aware of. Also, as we just looked at in the previous slide, be aware of links in emails. Hover over the link without clicking on it first to see if the link is actually going to the organization or a legitimate website that it should go to. Everything should line up in the email as it relates to where the email originated from. Threats. As I mentioned before, a lot of phishing attempts are very threatening. They're threatening to close your account. They're telling you that your mailbox is full and you need to pay someone in order to get a larger mailbox, or an invoice is past due, or your bank account is about to be closed if you don't click on this link. So be aware of threatening emails calling you to some kind of action, immediate action that you need to take. Spoofing popular websites, and we'll look at some examples of this in a second. A lot of this comes from common websites or organizations, as I mentioned before, that are familiar to you. FedEx, UPS, Facebook, Instagram, Amazon, and maybe even some banking accounts that you might even bank with. We'll look at those examples in a second. Spoofing known email addresses. This is one of the ones that is recently started to surge. And what this is you'll receive an email from someone you know. It might be in your company, someone right across the hall from you that suddenly they're emailing you about requesting a bank draft or an invoice that's past due. So this is an attempt to raise the potential for you to click on something simply because you recognize the email address that it came from. And the reason this could happen is either their email account has been compromised by a phishing attempt and they've gone into their address book and started emailing these emails out to people in their address book, or their email address has been spoofed. And what that means is when you receive the email, the spammer or hacker has used someone else's email address as the reply to email. So it appears that it came from a person you know, when in fact they just inserted that person's email address as the person to reply to, so it looks like it came from someone you know. So now that we've looked at some technical aspects of phishing attempts, let's just ask ourselves a few questions. I call this doing a gut check. What is your gut telling you about this email? Was I expecting this message? A lot of times you'll receive a shipment notification for maybe a package that you didn't know was coming, or an invoice from a vendor that you didn't know was coming, or a fax, or some kind of message from someone or something, and you had no idea it was coming your way. I would consider that suspect. Do you have an account with this company? Let's say you got a link to change your password for your Instagram account and you never opened an Instagram account. I would consider that suspect. Did I sign up for email alerts from this company? Let's say you never shopped at Amazon before, and all of a sudden you're getting a newsletter from Amazon asking you to click on some information about your account or advertisements from Amazon, and you've never signed up for Amazon before. So I would consider that suspect. Have you ever received emails from this company in the past? That's a red flag. Let's say you've commonly don't receive shipment notifications from FedEx, or you don't even use FedEx, and all of a sudden you start getting shipment notifications. That would be considered suspect. If it's someone I know, is it typical language and context of emails I normally receive from them? This is a real important question to ask. Typically, if it's someone that you know personally, you know how they normally speak. You know the context of the messages that they send to you. You know their signature lines. You know how they commonly communicate with you. If you receive an email from someone that you know and there's maybe a 3-word sentence with a link, and this is just not common for the way that they normally communicate with you, I would consider it highly, highly suspect. Is there a phone number or an alternate contact information included? Normally, for some phishing attempts, you will just get a message and you won't get a signature line. You won't get any other way to contact this individual or this company other than to click on the link. They want to draw you into that link rather than give you another way to contact them. Okay, so let's look at some real examples here. In this case, this is an email supposedly sent from USAA. I'm sure many of you are familiar with USAA. It's a common banking and insurance company that a lot of people use in the military. However, if you look at the top left-hand corner, you will see that it says USAA, but the email address that it came from was ghu@gkclasses.com. That has nothing whatsoever to do with USAA. So if we look down at the actual message, you'll see that it was from an online banking account. So let's go back to those questions that we ask ourselves. Do I have an account with USAA? Do I normally get email from USAA? And right there, you should be able to determine quickly whether this is a real email from USAA or not. So here we have the same message blown up a little bit so you can see it more easily. What I've done here is I've hovered over the View Your Accounts button that was embedded in the email. So as you see, the actual link that if I were to click on that account has nothing to do with USAA. This is going to www.arbon.pl, which is some obscure web link going to somewhere that is probably pretty disastrous for you. So this is a real good example of how these embedded links can take you off somewhere other than where you thought you were going. Here we have another example of an email from TeamViewer. TeamViewer is a remote access software company that people use to remotely access systems within their network. So right there, you can ask yourself the first question: do I do business with TeamViewer? Do I have a TeamViewer account? And if you look at the subject line, it's pretty threatening. Here's the threatening part of the email: payment declined, service suspended. So they're threatening you. They're telling you that your account's about to be closed, and they send you a Word attachment. Typically, companies of this size have a bit more advanced billing systems than sending people Word documents. So this should be a big red flag for you. So again, is this a company that I do business with? And is this the normal way that I normally process financial transactions with this company? Here's an example of what might be considered an internal communication between you and someone else in the office. It appears to involve employee documents. Internal use is the subject line. So this apparently has something to do with an employee in your company. However, this is in fact a phishing attempt. If you look at where the email was addressed from, it comes from no replay. There's a misspelled word right there. Instead of no reply, it's no replay at my-fax.com. However, if you look at the document link in the email, it is sending you to netismi.com. So this is a good indicator that this is not in fact an internal document and has nothing to do with an employee. Again, asking those questions: was I expecting this message? Am I hiring employees? Do I have something going on in human resources that wouldn't cause this fax to be sent?
Okay, I want to thank you for joining us today. That concludes our webinar on email security. As always, if you have any questions or if you're looking at that email and you're still not quite sure whether it's legitimate or not, you can always reach out to us. Our number is 866-529-1568, or you can go to our website at www.bridgenetllc.com. Thanks and have a great day.